Okay, so I've seen this one previously and probably done it a couple of times over the course of the last 20 years. So in the first things that we're looking at are where is the origin. So let's make the origin the bottom center. It may be in a different location. I mentioned that I was going to do the coordinate system on the last one, and I forgot to do that. So we're going to try and pick that one up now. All right, so looking at the geometry, same thing as I hate to be repetitive and say, I identify those contours and regions, but we can get a lot of geometry in that one sketch if we invest the time up front and can take those items into account. So it is a metric part. Let's go ahead and we'll still stay with the larger numbers. Again, I would tend to identify maximum material condition for the holes and the geometry, but not on the exam. We're not that concerned with it at this point. All right. So the other thing we need to look at is if I look at the 2 or 3 questions in the exam, and if I've done what I'm supposed to do and just look at all the questions, just cycle through and get a feel for what the exam is going to entail, there may be 2 or 3 questions that use this model. So if we can identify some of those critical elements that are going to carry over from question to question, then maybe we can build in a little bit of logic to help us along. All right, so a couple of circles at the bottom, 65 millimeters across. And then the through hole is given as 4127 to 4122. So we're going to go with 4127. And I don't know that I need symmetry, but I want to maybe speed up the process of picking that items coming back to the origin. So let's go ahead with a couple of more circles. And between the 2 circles is 90, 96. And I would say take a little extra time and make sure that you're reading the numbers correctly, because that would be something I would do, is get in a hurry and see 98 instead of 96 or whatever. So stay with those. Let's see, we have a distance. Let's see, 26 across the bottom. The outside dimension, it shows it coming up blending, so I don't want to make that as an assumption, but let's go ahead with the interior first. So 34.92. And then if it is an actual blend, there's not really a dimension to this outside, just that maybe it comes up tangent to the 45 millimeters. And then we're at 44 millimeters here, so let's make a decision then. Hopefully that is built out a little bit better in the details. So I'm thinking it's going to be at the 45, and then we transition to the 44. Before I fly that out, and just another quick look. All right. So we can go from the quadrant and we'll pick up the 45 millimeters. Okay. As far as the lines, we have the 26 millimeters across. I haven't had a chance to use the midpoint line, so this would be a good one. Hit the center mark, and why isn't it letting me come out horizontal? All right, there it goes. I really wanted it to be horizontal. All right, so midpoint line puts it on that center, and probably could have gone ahead and mirrored those. We'll just go with, let's see, tangency and tangency, and then from the center down is 32. Okay, so that gives me the lower portion. All right, and then the upper. All right, so I do have to watch for the tangent. Since I started on the circle, we'll come down. And I'm looking for vertical and coincident. And then I'll just go ahead and mirror those two. So I select the object, hold down the control button, select the center line, and then pick the mirror. All right, so the overall, nope, I was thinking that one would be, all right, so one undo, watch the undos that it doesn't undo too much. And then we're 166 from the center, make sure that it's not an overall. All right, and then we had a diameter of 44. Okay, so just a little bit in on the transition there. All right, one more circle up here. And it's given a radius of 14, so we'll go ahead and do the math on that one, end up with 28. That is going to come down to the intersection. All right, and then the through hole, we're given an M12. Let's just stay with the 12 millimeter on this one. If we put the hole wizard in there, yeah, I have a, yeah, I'm looking ahead as far as what's going to affect our mass properties. So yeah, I guess we could go ahead and put the hole wizard item in there, and it'll put in the minor diameter, and we'll not worry about cutting threads and including those into our mass calculation and center of mass. So that gives me a location for it anyway. I think I have enough geometry to go ahead and be dangerous. So we'll check for the overalls. All right, I think I have enough, so we're ready to start building. So getting as much of that geometry in place, my hope is that I'm going to save time in creating these, the solid, at least the lower portion of the solid. So thickness is 34. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. The next portion up is still rectangular, so, and I'm okay with the through hole down here, but getting into this geometry and the intersections, I'm not quite so sure about yet. Mainly with the bosses coming out the side. So I'm going to show the sketch so that I can get back into it easy enough. All right, and then going to pick the two regions. And this one goes to 24, so midplane 24. Okay. And then the boss portion, let's see, we have a 50 for the overall, so I'm going to go back and pick up, and that gets everything. Let's go ahead and get those, and then midplane, and then this one will come out to 50. All right, and then geometry-wise, the upper is a diameter where this was the rectangular. So as long as I can find that center point, I could draw on the top plane. I don't really want to take the time to offset, even though that might be the better strategy. I don't know that that's my goal at this point. So I will take just a second, since I'm driving this geometry, if I can project that point in and make it coincident and get a fully defined sketch that is 44 millimeters, then that original sketch 1 contour and region is now driving the diameter. So the extrude boss base, and we're going to vertex, and a convenient vertex is the center of the circle, and then the end vertex is top of the part. Any of those will do. Alright, so a lot of geometry in there. Okay, I want to check for the side bosses then, so into the right plane and sketch. And still kind of keeping my eye out for that center point. Right, so we're inside. And let's see, it doesn't show me the backside, so the assumption is, let's see, it rotated over, radius of 0.25. Oh, I think I may have just missed something. So the radius of 0.25 on the outside. And since I made that tangent, radius of 0.4 or 45. So that creates a little bit of a problem. All right, so finish out the thought that I'm working on, and then I'll come back and correct. So as soon as you notice, that's the time to pick to make it make the fix. So 26 across the bottom. Let's see what we've got for getting this out. Now that I'm a bit flustered, that's either a 36 or a 38. Looks like a 36. So features, extrude, and 36. All right. So one of the challenges of the test is that get in a hurry, I overlook something, then I have to go back and make that correction. So we're going to see if I can just take the coincident. Nope, probably not. All right, I don't want to lose my geometry. So not seeing a tangent. I am seeing a tangent. All right, so let's see if I take the tangent off. Well, it wants to be horizontal to that point. Let's go ahead and see if that will pull. All right, so the trick here is not to totally disassemble everything. All right, radius of 50. So it would be nice to get that in position and keep it. Radius of 25, yeah. I can double check that. So, okay, and then the 45 overall. Oh, and it did bring that side in quite a bit because I haven't corrected this side just yet. So we'll take the coincident, take the horizontal, and see if we can get I can't quite tell what that's vertical to. Oh, just that it's vertical. All right, here's my tangency. That's the one that's now driving it. All right, so we want to be symmetrical. And then I also want to make sure that I get back to coincidence. So since it didn't show up, come on, make sure I have the endpoint, circle, coincident. So that tangency, yeah, those look about the same. Interesting. So let's go ahead and rebuild it, make sure there's no errors. And if I'm careful on that rebuild, I got a pretty good shot at getting the geometry in there. So, being the case, let's go back into the sketch. And one more, we'll do the cut extrude. And the contour for this will be the circle. And this is a through all both. I'll go ahead and hit OK. And I think I'm at the point where I want to hide the sketch. It's just getting way busy. Alright, so we've got some shapes. The last major shape is the 12 by 6. And typically that is going to be rectangle from corner to corner, or corner to corner coincident with the edges. So 12 and 6 deep. Right, features extrude cut. We'll give it a through all, and then we're into the threaded holes. All right, so the top we'll do as the 22.22, and that is going to extrude cut in up to next, or into the geometry. All right, the next through hole is an M10. Oh, that one's also going to be a threaded hole. So in that case, I think I do want to go ahead and make a plane. So right plane, control select the cylinder, do the do a plane, and make sure that it's parallel. I'll hit OK, and then with that selected, I'm going to hit S, jump into the hole wizard, and we're picking a threaded hole. And we're looking for the N10 by 1.5. And staying with up to next is fine. And since we're on the origin and centered, we're going to stay with that number. Okay, next one then, also an S key, hole wizard, looking for the M12 by 1.75. We have 2 of those. So its position is the center, and then accept. All right, and then the top one more S key. And what I didn't do on that one was check the depth. This was oh, it said it was also to the hole. So none of these are blind in conditions. Okay, so that can be an up to next. All right, so a couple of quick checks. Did we miss anything? Where are our fillets? Fillets and rounds are all radius of 3. I don't see anything called out on any different. So that being the case, let's pick one, get it started, and see if we can get the rest of that geometry going in some pretty decent shots. All right, so the outside, no, I'm probably going to be better off picking that one, and then that one. And it's already getting a little confusing. Alright, so let's see what that looks like if the fillet expert jumps in. Yeah, there's a lot of blends there, so, or the feature expert. So it gave me one fillet. That's not good. All right. Too funny. All right, so let's do one without the fillet, and there's no fillet on the top, so that is kind of funny. All right, so I'm gonna hide the plane. If we go without the fillets, and I jump over to the evaluate, do the mask properties at this point, I think I have all the geometry. If I haven't gotten in a rush and missed something, I have not set a material though. All right, so material, let's pick, I'm going to go down to the copper alloys. We'll pick a standard brass, apply, and close. And now when I do the mask properties, from the origin being at the bottom middle of the part, then I get 1996.24 grams, and the center of mass 0.69, 7.058, and that kind of makes sense with that hanging in a couple of the holes that we would have a little bit of shift from symmetry. All right, so before I go fight the fillets, we're going to put a coordinate system in place so that I get that, make sure to get that in. So coordinate system, I would like to have it at the top. I don't really have any geometry to pick from though. So be prepared with a coordinate system that if I need to, I'm going to open up a sketch and I'm just going to draw two lines. That will help me with the orientation. And then a Control-7 to get back into that isometric view. Pick our coordinate system. All right, so center of the coordinate system is part, X location or X axis, and the Y axis, and then we have that in place. So at that point, this is the sketch. I can't get rid of that sketch. Evaluate mask properties. Make sure that you switch over to coordinate system 1. And then notice now that our values adjust just a little bit from the current coordinates. So also, since I set Z, no, we're still in the same relative position. It's pretty much the Z value that had the big adjustment. All right, so let's tackle the fillets. So I'm going to hide, and pretty much don't need the coordinate system, so hide. So let's go with the face. And the problem with the face is it's going to grab that upper edge, so maybe I don't want to do that. And if we can get some of these to blend, I'll take a few passes. That should go up and over. That one should come back down. And that way, let's go fillet. And 3 millimeters, and we're going to go ahead and accept. All right, so it looks pretty good on the top side. All right, so let's go ahead and grab some kind of the horizontal here. And I think I can get that vertical in. And that's kind of an interesting blend there. So well, let's go ahead and bring that one in. I think we can go all the way around at that point. And if this got too complicated, then I would probably go in and try and pick a lot of the vertical components first, and then come back and chase the next one. So fillet. Okay, so that's up and around. That looks pretty good. That's everything pretty much on the bottom side. Let's go back to that first fillet and see if we can make, well, actually fillet 2. And if I can add a little bit more to the blend there. Alright, so there shouldn't be anything on that side. So got a little interesting there. So that's going to affect maybe a little bit. All right, I took it, but all of those corners are just a little bit strange. All right, so let's see, did we get one? Oh, now fillet 4 because of that blend. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Let's just see if it'll update. No. All right, so here I'm just going to clear the selections and see if it'll calculate back up and through. And it is a little complicated, so see what it can find. So in that case, I would probably have been better off leaving that one alone. That only went part way. Interesting. Let's take that segment out, since that seems to be where the blend is the issue. Oh, and since that one is not in just yet, let's go ahead and take that one out. So be careful with the fillets. All of a sudden we're getting into some serious time just getting those last couple of fillets in place. Okay, so that blends, and then if I need to, we'll put in, oh yeah, that was the one more. I keep wanting there to be one on the other side. All right, there we go. So we'll let that blend in, find its transition. It's going to be a tough one. That little bit may just be, I may have to leave that one, or I certainly don't want to go to a whole different strategy with, okay, so that being the case, we'll call that good. If you got something close to that, and then we're within a reasonable amount on our numbers, I think we've chased that one enough. I don't expect that you'll end up having this complex of fillets, or they'll remove the fillets altogether. All right, so one more check with the fillets in place. So we gained a gram, whatever it was, 996 to 997. Yeah, that's probably not going to be one of the changes then, because we're well within the 10% number or 5% number on our values. All right, but be able to manage the coordinate system. Don't get hung up chasing fillets if they're not well called out, and go through each of the steps, do your error checking along the way, and just focus on the part.